Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and I'm back with another reaction to the Runaways. We are now on episode 5, which is called Rock Bottom. I know these are coming a lot slower than I had anticipated, but you know, the holiday season, it was all in the clear when I started my holidays, and then things just kept popping up. So unfortunately, my reactions to Runaways kind of got pushed. I'm doing my best to get through them before the full swing of the show start coming back. Back to this. Runaways, Rock Bottom. Last episode, we kind of had a little action going on with the group. We had the whole mission to get the processor chip so that Alex could start hacking and doing what he does best so that he could help them figure out how to disable the dig site. We discovered a little bit more about Topher, Mr. Good-looking, a little too good to be true Topher. And yes, we discovered that he does have an ulterior motive. We just don't know what it is yet. But most importantly, Nico's on to him. She's figured out that he is not like Molly in the sense of naturally being able to generate this super strength. It looks like he gets his from a substance, which my guess is something that came from the dig site. So without further ado, let's get into this episode and we will chat later. Okay? Boop.
Never come back. Go!
It's like they were born
Why?
blind. Nothing I said or did could ever make it better.
That seems extreme.
You don't see me asking questions about your magic wand, eh? Or those modern gloves One Direction here carries in his backpack.
One Direction?
Or the dinosaur.
Okay, sir. Suddenly you're a parkour legend. Let's get our hands on some of this rock stuff.
What you're holding is all I have left. Then I'll stop and sickle.
He means cold turkey.
I don't think he has much of a choice, does he? Unless he finds out about the dig site.
Hey, Topher found rocks, and so did your parents.
Yeah, but the Hernandez's rocks came from the dig site.
Why would you?
They were there and in the lab, so...
That's what he wanted.
Look at this.
Ew, no.
What do you think we are?
Gross.
I don't know.
Lizard
I
people?
read the book.
Stick your hand in that crevasse.
What? No.
That doesn't sound scary.
Right?
It's my ship.
Oh. How'd it get under here?
How did his ship get all the way down here?
Yeah. How
I
long
arrived
ago?
in 3 days recorded history.
That
We
would be
understand
one.
time a little differently to humans, and you will too.
Humans?
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh,
want an answer?
sweetie, you didn't think you were human, did you? That's so cute. A species that needs to feed on humans to live. Yay. Look out, Nico. You're gonna be food.
I'd like to introduce you to your brother.
Yeah. You know what? I'm good. I like being an only child. We cool. We cool. Don't trust it at all. And where's his mama? What happened to her? I got questions. Mm-mm.
You're not right in the head, huh?
Rude. True, but rude.
Back it up. The sister of my sister's my sister.
A little too smooth, Topher. Gosh, it's so frustrating because I know they're teenagers and they can't help it. But as an adult, I'm just like, oh my God, how are you guys so easily sucked in? But poor Gert, she's in such a vulnerable place right now.
Are you willing to grant me immunity?
You're not charged with anything. You don't
Yes.
need lawyers, Eiffel.
Yes, we grant you immunity.
Yeah, play her game, you dummies.
Look, all I know is that they needed my master key so that Alvin could get his special laptop.
Alex?
Alvin.
Is Alex?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not. Anyways, as people start talking about...
You done?
Okay, are we done here?
Yeah. I don't think you're getting anything value out of here. That's hilarious. I'm pretty sure it's not. Mood 2019.
You know, these two have become a real asset to the church.
Yes.
They're murderers, kidnappers. You just can't find that everywhere.
Yeah, well, I don't want him hanging out with Alex.
Too
And
late.
Jonah knows where her kids are. He needs to tell us.
What makes you think he will?
It's not like we can just make him.
I'll take care of Jonah.
That's...
Ooh, the tone of his voice, sir. That was hot.
It's just the fact that people underestimate me.
You know what I mean? Janet's like, I know a lot of his skill sets, actually.
You made him feel like he didn't belong here.
Oh, go,
You left
Molly.
Because you thought you'd lead him to enough rocks to refill his vial.
Exactly.
And you didn't.
Which is the
Your
same
problem.
thing that I did to Graciela.
No, she was a sweet, innocent lady, not some shady rock molester.
Look, what happens to Topher? Okay, but no way can he screw up our plans. We gotta get down here.
Can someone please hashtag rock molester?
Yeah,
I feel like you shouldn't be doing this in the open, Janet. Don't you have like a secret sanctuary somewhere?
You're gonna kill somebody.
Nico, you're not wearing a seatbelt!
Yeah, because Alex is wearing two.
With Gert before, that's why.
Right now, the speed of the two cars turn left after the light turns right.
down like that's gonna stop anything. It's like when people play video games and they turn their whole body to like turn a corner.
Why would we? Look at what you're doing. Look at what you did to Daddy. He can't walk, Topher.
I'm sorry.
This isn't what you described.
Because I lie a lot, duh.
It was the explosion that fell out. It turned him into some kind of monster.
I am not a monster.
Oh, he was there. Wait, if he was a grown-ass man and Molly was 3?
We left out a few details. What difference does it make?
Is he not aging?
Please don't make me find out.
All right, battle royale time. Poor Gert. Meanwhile, in the car. Where's old Lace? Oh my god, damn. Good job, stunt double. Oh, here we go, preview. This is who you want to save, Molly? Gert! No! Oh, please land on Topher. Is this the end of Topher? Is this his whole storyline?
We can't leave him.
Yes, you can.
He'll be fine.
I can't help it. I'll stay here with him.
She's a nurse.
Go, bury those rocks somewhere no one will find them.
Look at him, like the true junkie. My innards are coming out of my sides, but can you give me the rocks, please? I need the rocks.
Why would he need another sacrifice? Is he sick?
How did you do it, Leslie?
I don't have a soul, sweetheart. Duh.
Jonah's been staying Karolina behind my back. Bonding with her.
Let's hope she sees through his manipulation better than you did.
We were raised her to be a completely open and free
Oh, you're
spirit.
serious.
And I'm not doing this.
You
Jonah can find his own sacrifice.
kind of have to. Yeah, she's smiling because she's like, you're gonna die, not me. Did she let him out? Oh, she gave him cheese whiz. Aw, it's a little gesture, but it's sweet.
God, I love that woman.
Aw. She was smart though, give him something and he'll start working, that's right. I kind of feel bad, like what's going on? Is like James Marsters, like, was he just not available to film with everybody else? Like this kind of sucks that he's so excluded.
He was scared and out of control. He needed help.
Oh, so I think he was beyond help.
He sacrificed his life to save Gert. There's good in him.
Because he tried to kill all of you.
The only spider that ever made it into the Minoru house is standing right in front of me.
Oh, the
I do
cojones.
for you.
This is hot. Go on.
Couldn't stop you from killing my daughter.
Oh, you're not feeling well?
I'm fine.
You sure? Mr. Minoru!
You don't look fine, Jonah.
Impressive.
No, when I looked into the tech you put into Karolina's bracelet, I discovered that it was basically an inhibitor. That if I increase things, it might make you really, really ill.
I'm so happy and mildly turned on right now.
That was for Amy.
I mean, he had it coming. That was hot. Oh, the glasses are off. Yes, sir.
Now it's time to finish this.
Or was that Karolina? It's Karolina, isn't it?
We saw the door was open. Was that okay?
Oh, God, these chicks. That was almost baller. I can't believe that we didn't think to lock the door behind him. Anyway, baby steps.
You saw one of us, just another kid.
He's not, though. He was like a 30-year-old man. But anyway.
I got you.
Aw. I like this because it seems to be calming Gert down. So, good. Gert, what are you doing? You're drooling blood all over me. Gross.
I believe
This belongs to you.
this belongs to you.
Oh, you're not even that badass, Jonah. You can barely walk. Is Gert checking herself in? Oh. Oh. I I understand the decision though at the moment. That's the end. So that was episode 5, which was called Rock Bottom, and interesting things that went down here. I think the biggest things here is that we're starting to see the kids group really struggling with what they want to do going forward. And this is kind of an important place for them to come to, because as interesting and fun and idealistic as the idea of being a runaway is, it's not as easy as it sounds, and they have a lot to work out, especially when it comes to their parents and what they want to do going forward here. And not all of them necessarily have the same, shall we say, reason to have distance with their families that the rest of them do. So I like that the show's kind of picking apart the different issues that the kids have together, or sorry, individually, versus this collective issue that they have with what their parents are doing. So wow, kind of a ton to go through. Let's talk about the Topher thing right away, I guess, just because it is kind of the shortest storyline, believe it or not. I didn't think we'd wrap it up quite as quickly as we did, but again, it may not be wrapped up. We may see Topher again. I don't think he's dead. I'm pretty sure being exposed to the rock as long as he has been, I think he's probably a little hardier than the average human, but we kind of that whole Topher thing finally came to a head. You know, Nico didn't trust him. I didn't trust him, especially after we saw that he was lying about the substance, and he was just a little too smooth, right? You just gotta know that in this life, you know, if anyone seems a little too smooth, a little too polished, the chances are they are too good to be true. That was the case with Topher. As I said last episode, as I predicted, he just saw that Molly looked like him. He didn't know that Molly naturally is able to generate this power. He just thought maybe she was using the rocks, and he just wanted another source, another hit, just like a junkie. And so thankfully, you know, Nico kind of figured it out, but I think she was hoping that Molly would see for herself that Topher was not really about becoming part of the family. He was really just about getting what he needed. And it's just sad to see that she just fed him all this information so willingly about the dig site and everything else. But again, as they brought out, Molly is 14. She's a child. She does not have enough life experience to understand that you can't just be so openly trusting of people. It's sad because I understand, like, I mean, I've never lived on the street, so I can't comment on what it's like, but I can assume that people on the streets probably do have a certain level of trust and a certain level of community, because these kids are in such a precarious position in that they are wanted and people do know their faces and people know that there's a bounty out there and there's money for them and all these other things. They can't be as trusting as the average runaway. They need to be a little bit more conservative, and unfortunately Molly, as we saw, in her desperation to just feel some sense of blood relation, she just wanted to believe the best in Topher. She really wanted to believe that this could be a family member, even though I think deep down she knew that the chances of that were so random. You know, she was just clinging to the fact that their eyes both glowed and they were both Latino. Like, that was enough for her. And I was like, that's a loose connection at best. Yeah, it was kind of sad that she kind of just let him pull her right in, hook, line, and sinker. And even after he left, like, cleared his room, took all the stuff, took the map, like, it still wasn't enough for Molly to accept the fact that, you're like, girl, he's not about you. He came for one thing, and now that he knows where he can get it, you will never see him again. I knew right from the get-go when he was telling his story about how his family just threw him out. I'm like, no, unless your family was completely twisted, no one just kicks their kids out. Like, I was like, no, he's lying, he's leaving something out, something went down. But I did not, what I didn't see, like all the things about it led up to the scene at the, you know, with him going to the dig site and his family, like that I kind of predicted. But what I didn't predict is that he was initially exposed to the rock at the explosion. Topher doesn't age. The first thing I thought was, wait a minute. If Topher, because at first I thought, okay, maybe he was a kid. Was he just riding his bike by the lab and it exploded? He got rock on him. He was a grown ass man when this happened, and Molly was 3. So that was like 11 years ago. So Topher doesn't age because he still looks like, I mean, the actor is obviously a 20 something, but he still looks like a teenager, you know, somewhere in that age group. So I'm glad at least Chase called out the fact, it's like, dude hasn't aged in 10 years. Like, that's not natural. So The Rock has all kinds of side effects we're learning about. And I think we got Topher is kind of a way to show us as the audience that the rocks don't affect everybody the same way, because with Molly, she was clearly exposed continuously to these rocks, likely while her parents were experimenting with it. And the interesting thing is that Topher touched it, and then it kind of gave him momentary infusions, but it looks like it clearly did not agree with something upstairs. And like they said, his family said he changed after that. All he cared about was the rock, and he sadly just started to act like an addict, like someone who's, who was addicted to any other type of drug. He was, like they said, he stole, he lied. It looks like he actually paralyzed his father. So it was pretty bad, and they had every reason to kick him out and keep him away, but he can't give up this addiction that he has with this rock, whereas it didn't affect Molly in that way. Maybe it's because she was introduced to the rock when she was only 3. Maybe something about the explosion and the rock somehow made the powers permanent. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe parts of it are embedded in her somehow, and that's why she didn't, because you see with Topher, he has to be in contact with the rocks to get the abilities. Clearly she does not. So very interesting to me that they're showing, the different effects that the rock has on people. Again, there's a lot of questions about why Molly was affected the way she was versus Topher, but clearly he's a little jumbled up as a result of how these rocks have basically kind of take over him. The fact that Jonah is not even caring about the fact that these rocks are constantly being dug up. Like, we saw that dump truck was there with all these rocks in it. Topher's one person. Who knows who else? Like, where are they dumping all the dirt that comes from this site? Are they just tossing these rocks anywhere? Are they actually rocks? Are they coming from the ship? That just kind of opened up a whole new can of worms for me about what's going on with this substance, what it is it pieces of his planet? But coming back to Topher, yeah, he kind of snapped at the end. Molly doing her best to try to, like, save him was, it was adorable in the sense of, again, her age. I get why she did it. She was doing it because she didn't know what else to do. Again, part of her just being so desperate to have somebody who was like her. She just didn't want to believe that he was a monster. And I get it. Like, I think Karolina did the overall explanation for us, using Nico as that forum to be like, she just doesn't want to think of herself as a freak. She feels very alone in this place that she's in, being the only one who can do what she can do. She really just wanted this person to be a good representation of the kind of, like, what she is and what it could be. And the fact that he was a really negative aspect of that, she just didn't really want to accept it, but it had more to do with her than it did with Topher. Kind of sad that in the end, she really couldn't see the fact that, yes, Topher, obviously the rocks were affecting him, but he's also a grown man. Now, that's the only part I didn't agree with, is when they were like, oh, you saw him as a kid. He isn't a kid. Topher is a grown man. He has been since he was first exposed, but he is a man who's dealing with an addiction, and that clearly makes people not the way that they normally would be. It can change them, make them into the worst versions of themselves, and that's what's happened with Topher. He was a danger, not only to them, but to the people he cared about, and so he needed help. He didn't necessarily need Molly's help, but he definitely needed to be separated from the rocks and separated from anybody he could possibly hurt. And then, of course, we saw the whole confrontation between her and particularly Nico, and I know she directed the majority of her anger towards Nico because Nico was the one who made him admit the addiction, and Nico never trusted him. And I think she was just a convenient outlet for Molly because Nico was right. And I didn't really think much about it when she was going off on Nico, but I know that Nico was the convenient target because Molly knew that deep down, as I said, we all kind of, when we get mad at something in other people, it's almost always because it reflects something in ourselves that we don't like, or something about ourselves we don't like. And in this particular case, Nico was the convenient target because Nico was right. And deep down, I think Molly knew there was something off about Topher. Her gut told her something wasn't right, but she didn't want to listen to it. She didn't want to believe it. But I'm glad at least that, the Topher thing's kind of put away. If he's not going to help Team Runaway right now, I kind of need him to be out of the picture because there's too much going on with them right now to have to deal with this random element of a super who could just sabotage them. Moving into the sassiness, that was Papa Minoru. Listen, I talked a lot last episode and the episode before about Janet's glow up, the fact that she's finally being recognized as being smart and calculating and just a queen in her own right. And now we saw Papa Minoru starting to join the ranks. I was all about that. Listen, he is the other, like I'd say out of the whole parent group, those two are probably the most slept on. At least in season 1, they were definitely the most slept on. And I think that's because their characters by nature are very, I wouldn't say laid back, but their characters aren't as extroverted. They're not as assertive as the other people that we see in the group. The difference is that Janet and Robert, they're quieter by nature. They're both people who kind of had very loud and aggressive and kind of cocksure partners, and they kind of were kind of happy, I guess you could say, to just let them be in the spotlight and do all that kind of stuff while they kind of were the supportive role. And now they've finally kind of gotten this opportunity to step outside of the shadow of their spouses and really kind of show their own strengths, and I'm really enjoying that. And this episode we saw Robert step forward, because last season we saw him do, you know, when he volunteered to put himself in the chamber when nobody else wanted to do it. But this season, again, I don't know if I like the fact that they always make Robert always volunteer for the suicide missions though. Like, I'm a little bit like, why is he always willing to be the one who might die? I mean, I get it. Being married to Tina is trying, but Lord, please stop making this man always be ready to just throw his life away. Once again, he volunteers to try to get information out of Jonah. I forgot about the fact that he picked up the bracelet that that Karolina had dropped, and he extrapolated from that. He used it, extrapolated, figured out it was obviously if it could hinder Karolina, it makes sense that it could hinder Jonah in some way. And because Jonah's so weak right now, we saw it really adversely affected him. It looks like his abilities are the only thing that's holding him together right now too, because we saw he immediately started, saw the nasty, skin flakes were starting to crawl up his face and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty strong. Whatever he's got, his powers are literally just like cobbling him together right now. Robert, I just loved everything about that scene. Just the fact, he stood a little taller, the tone of his voice, the way he was carrying himself was so like menacing and in control, and it's something we just haven't seen a lot of his character do, period. Like, we see a lot of that from Tina. He's usually the guy looking kind of passive or slightly scared in the background. Like, to see him kind of come into his own, and in that moment, it wasn't just bravado. Like, he was very confident in the fact that he was able to come up with this idea for making the, what would you call it, the cone of death for Jonah. And the fact that he was very convicted about finding out where his daughter is, and the fact that he has been holding this anger towards Jonah for killing Amy, right? All of that kind of came through in this really amazing kind of persona that we saw Robert exhibit for at least a few minutes, and it was really nice to see. I really wish we saw more of it. I think even Tina would actually enjoy seeing more of it, believe it or not, but it was cool to see, and I want to see more of it this season. I mean, assuming he's okay. He was not looking so great when Jonah carried him back. I can't think that, I'm hoping we don't have another character who's out for half the season in a coma like we did with poor Victor here. The only other things that kind of popped up in this episode were Karolina being the mole. Right now, she's slowly but surely turning into the Trojan horse within the group. She's now, at first I thought this was all gonna be about her trying to learn more about herself so she could learn about her powers, which I think for her it was that, but now she's got this very interesting position that she's in because this is her father, this is her family. And now the story that Jonah has told her so far is that she's got a family member trapped in this spaceship and who has been there for millennia. I can understand Karolina feel a little bit like, that's actually my brother down there. He really does deserve to come out. He's definitely done a sentence, but we don't know. If there's anything we know about Jonah is that he would lie. We don't know if he's telling the truth here. We don't know if that's actually a sibling of Karolina's. We don't know if that's something that's bigger and badder than he is. I don't know. I don't trust it, and the fact that Karolina's so quick to just believe that is bothersome. I do believe it is something that's like Jonah, but we don't know what it is and if it should come out. I'm also curious as to why Jonah couldn't figure out a way to get to his ship before this, and sadly Karolina is just so infatuated with what she is and whatever is in this ship that she's not really thinking this through, which is why I'm really hoping that she does eventually break down and tell at least Nico what's been going on, so that Nico can talk a little bit of sense into her and try to pull her out of this little haze of discovery she's in. But how much damage she'll do before that happens is the question. The other final note was, of course, poor Gert. She's been falling apart slowly for the past few episodes. It's been really sad to see because, she's trying so hard to hang in there. She really is, but she's never, from the sounds of things, she's not been off her meds, maybe in living memory for her, and she's just not able to handle it. She's not able to handle how she feels going through this withdrawal, and I think she's starting to also feel guilty because she knows that how she's acting is a lot for the team to take. Not that they're complaining, I don't think anyone's upset with her over it, but I can understand from her perspective, she probably feels like she's being a burden to everybody with the way she's feeling, so she's doing what she thinks she has to do. She thinks that, she can't really contribute. Maybe it's better she just goes back to her family and, you know, goes back to just dealing with her illness the way that she knows how. I don't know. It's hard to say. We know how this is gonna go. I'm fairly certain that someone's gonna figure out Gert's gone, and they're gonna go and they're gonna convince her at the last minute that she can't go back to her family. But so far this season, we've had almost all the kids have some sort of interaction with their parents again. But if there's any parents that I think would actually willingly let their kids go, like, and not in the way that Nico's mom did as an ultimatum, but like would actually be like behind it, I do think Gert's parents would be okay with it, because I think that they just want to be done with this and away from it and out of it. And I think that they know that right now, even though they're worried to death about the kids, I think they know that deep down they're safer wherever they are versus with Pride at the moment. That was the episode, guys. Really interesting, a lot of fun. Things are kind of ramping up a little bit here, and I am looking forward to seeing, you know, we're kind of getting to the point where we should start to see the ascent to the pinnacle parts of the season. So I'm looking forward to seeing that go on, and I know I am behind. I still have a lot of episodes left to go, but I'm gonna, like I said, try to get through these as fast as I can. I may not be able to get through them before the rest of my shows start, but I'm definitely gonna do my best. So thank you so much for your patience and waiting for these episodes, guys. I really appreciate it. If you liked watching this video along with me, please click that like button. If you wanna see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. Until next time,